Posted by you/throwaway/past r/off my chest. I don't post much here, but tonight I found an old photograph that knocked the air out of me. It was tucked inside a book I haven't opened in years. The Catcher in the Rye, of all things. On the back of the photo, written in messy blue ink, were the words, "For the boy who saw the world in color when I didn't." And just like that, I was 16 again. I grew up in a small Midwestern town, one of those places with a single movie theater, a handful of stoplights, and the same people in every store you walked into. Summers smelled like cut grass and gasoline. Winters felt like they'd never end. Everyone knew everyone. And for most of us, life moved in predictable little loops. Until she arrived. Her name was Maya. She moved into the old yellow house at the end of Willow Street, the one that had been empty for almost 2 years. I remember seeing her for the first time that June, the summer before junior year. She was standing in the front yard, paintbrush in hand, streaks of blue on her cheek and on her denim shorts. I was riding my bike past her house, headphones in, pretending I didn't notice her. But she looked up, and I swear the world slowed down. She smiled like she already knew me. We didn't talk that day. Not for a week after either. But every afternoon, I'd see her out there painting, sometimes the fence, sometimes a canvas. She painted like she was trying to fix the world, one brush stroke at a time. One day, curiosity won. I stopped my bike and said, "You missed a spot." She looked at me, squinted like she was sizing me up, and said, "You must be the local critic." I remember laughing, the kind of laugh that's half nerves and half wonder. That was our first conversation, if you could even call it that. But from that day on, I stopped pretending I didn't see her. Maya wasn't like the other girls in town. Everyone else wore pastel tank tops and talked about prom. She wore men's shirts that hung too big on her shoulders and always had some smudge of color on her hands. She didn't care what anyone thought. We started spending time together because of my own stupidity. She saw me sketching cars in my notebook at the diner one morning. She just walked up, slid into my booth and said, "Those are good. You ever draw people?" I said no, and she said, "Good. They're complicated." That was Maya in a sentence. Simple words that meant 100 things. The summer became ours. We rode bikes to the lake every evening. She'd bring her camera, I'd bring my old Walkman, and we'd just sit by the water listening to whatever cassette I had lying around. She liked that the songs crackled with age. She said it made them sound alive. We never talked about anything grand. Just little things. Why the clouds looked like cotton today, how small our town felt, whether ghosts exist. She told me about her mom, who had passed away when she was 12, and how painting was the only way she knew how to remember her. I told her about my dad, a mechanic who never said much but taught me how to fix things with my hands. She smiled and said, "Maybe that's why you draw. You're just fixing what's broken on paper." I think that was the first time I felt seen. There was this one night I can't forget. We were at the abandoned fairground on the edge of town. The Ferris wheel was rusted, the grass overgrown. But she said she liked it because it still remembers the laughter. We climbed up the metal frame, halfway to the top, and just sat there, legs dangling, wind in our hair. The sky was orange and purple and fading into black. She looked at me and said, "Do you think we'll remember this when we're old?" I said, "I hope so." And she whispered, "Then we will." It wasn't some grand teenage romance. We never said, "I love you." We didn't need to. It was in the way she handed me her paintbrush, or the way she'd rest her head on my shoulder when the world felt too heavy. We were just two kids who didn't know what forever meant, but hoped it was possible. That fall, everything started changing. She got accepted into an art program in Chicago, a big deal for someone from our tiny town. She tried to act like it didn't matter, but I saw the way her hands trembled when she told me. I didn't know what to say. I just said, "That's amazing." She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. A week later, she gave me that photo. The one I found tonight. It was of us, sitting by the lake, the sunset behind us. On the back, she wrote that line. "For the boy who saw the world in color when I didn't." The night before she left, she came by my house. We sat on the porch, listening to the crickets and the faraway train. She said, "You'll forget me someday." I told her, "Not a chance." She smiled, that same half-sad, half-brave smile, and said, "Then promise me you'll keep seeing the world in color, even when I'm not around." I promised. We hugged for what felt like forever. And when she pulled away, her eyes glistened with something I couldn't name. Then she left. I watched her bus drive off that morning, a splash of yellow fading down Willow Street. And just like that, summer ended. I didn't see her again. Not for years.